Let's be honest, if you're watching this video, you probably spent way too many hours trying to hit Grand Champ. You've hit Diamond, maybe you've even hit Champ 1 or 2, and you've convinced yourself that you're close. But reality is, you're not close. You're stuck in a completely different mindset from the players who actually make it to Grand Champ. And the worst part is that you don't even know what you're missing, because that's the thing keeping you out of GC. It's not your speed, it's not your flicks or your ceiling shots, it's the way you think about the game. Let me break this down for you. Most players stuck in Champ are still treating ranked like a performance test. They play to prove they're good, they chase highlight plays, they go for flashy out plays, and they throw themselves at the ball every single time like it's their moment to shine. But that's not how you reach Grand Champ. GC players don't play to prove, they play to control. They don't hit the ball just because they can, they hit it when it hurts the opponent and helps their teammate. The difference is actually pretty subtle, but it's massive, and the reason you're not ranking up isn't because of your mechanics not being great enough, it's because your decisions are built on your ego, not logic. Think about, your last 5 losses. How many of those games did you throw because you rotated in front of your teammate to take a challenge? Cut into midfield even though you weren't second man. Tried to air dribble from defense instead of just hitting a solid clear. Double jumped for a block and left the net wide open. Now, multiply those by 3 players, or even 2, and that's what low champ lobbies look like. 2 to 3 players trying to be the reason they win, and nobody playing their role. That's why you're stuck. You're still playing Rocket League like it's a montage contest, not a strategy game, and when you do finally run into actual Grand Champs, they feel faster, not because they are mechanically insane, but because they make faster decisions. Their movement has purpose, they rotate smart, they hold back when they should, and they only commit when it actually counts. So what's step 1? Well, you need to admit that you're not a smart player yet. And that sounds harsh, but hear me out. The only way to break out of Champ is to stop acting like you're almost there and start treating yourself like someone with massive gaps in their game, because you do. And you're probably overextending, you're probably overvaluing solo plays, and you're probably confusing pressure with panic. And you're definitely not adapting to your teammates. You're just hoping they adapt to you. And this is the wall most players hit. They got to Champ by out mechanicking lower players, but now they're facing opponents who are just as fast, so suddenly their playstyle doesn't work anymore. They're getting dunked, they're getting demoed, they're getting just countered, and the only thing they can think is, I just need to be faster. No, you need to be smarter, and that starts with humility. That starts with admitting that the game is deeper than you've been playing it. That maybe, just maybe, there's more going on than what you see on the surface. And that's what this video is about. So let's talk about what Grand Champs are actually doing that you're not. And I don't mean that in a vague, they're better at the game, kind of way. I mean the specific patterns, the specific behaviors that separate GC players from everyone stuck below. Because once you understand, how they approach the game, your rank sessions will start to look completely different. And let's start with one of the biggest shifts. Grand Champs think in systems. You need to think in situations. And what does that mean? You're probably looking at every play like random chaos. You try to figure out what to do in the moment, but GC players already know what they're doing in every role. If they're last man, they know not to push forward until second man makes a move. If they're in the corner, they know whether the touch should go up the wall, downfield, or back to a teammate based on boost and positioning. And if their teammate jumps for a challenge, they don't dive in just because they can. They wait and they anchor and they cover. And the average champ watches the ball. The grand champ watches the entire field, and they don't think where's the play happening? They think, where's the next play going to happen? And how do I put myself in the right spot for it? This is where awareness and patience become the real MVPs of your gameplay. Let me just ask you this. How many times have you jumped in to help a challenge and just ended up causing a double commit? How many times have you took a mid boost while rotating and left the net wide open? How many times have you followed your own shot instead of rotating out and got countered? You probably told yourself it was bad luck or teammates, but a GC player or an SSL player, they recognize the pattern. They know when to trust the system. And it's not that they play passive, it's that they play with structure. Even when, they do go for crazy plays, ceiling shots, flip resets, backboard reads, they do it with context, and the challenge is calculated, the setup is clean, and they don't force it when it's just not there. And here's another massive difference. GC players create advantages. You keep hoping for them. When you're stuck, you wait for the opponent to mess up. You hang around midfield hoping the ball pops out, or you pre-jump your own teammate hoping that they pass. But Grand Champs build their opportunities. They pressure at the corner to draw a panic clear. They pop a ball middle to force a bad touch. They fake a challenge to bait a flip, then counter it. They manufacture space by understanding what the opponent wants and then denying it. If the opponent wants chaos, they stay calm. That's the kind of intention you need to bring to your games. The biggest difference isn't that they can air dribble better, it's that they're constantly asking, what does the opponent want? What does my teammate need? Where can I apply pressure without overcommitting? Most champs never ask those questions, and they just drive at the ball and hope for the best. And that's not a playstyle, that's a coin flip. And Grand Champs don't flip coins, they play the odds. So if there's one thing you get from this video, make it be this. You will never rank up until you stop chasing plays and start building actual systems. Until you stop playing per possession and start playing per rotation. And until you stop blaming randomness and start recognizing the predictable patterns that show up in every single ranked game. We've talked about the mindset difference. We've talked about what Grand Champs actually do in game. Now let's talk about something just as important, maybe more important. How do you actually build those habits? How do you become the player who deserves Grand Champ without getting stuck in the loop of playing for hours and hours and hours and seeing zero real progress? And the answer is simple, but it's not easy. You have to make improvement automatic. Right now, the way most players try to improve is basically trial and error. You queue into ranked, make a mistake, maybe you notice it, maybe you don't, and then go again. Sometimes you get lucky and rank up, other times you get tilted and start spiraling, and that's not improvement, that's just gambling. If you want to actually hit GC, you need to train your brain the same way athletes train their bodies, with deliberate, repeatable reps. And here's how to start. Step 1, pick one thing to fix. Just one, not 5, not 10, one. Let's say your rotation is sloppy. You're cutting rotation, you're double committing, and you don't know when to leave a play. Okay, that's the focus. Now, every game you play, your only goal is to make perfect rotations. You still try to win, sure, but rotation is the priority. And that means if you make a good pass, but cut rotation, it's a failure. If you lose the game, but rotate clean the whole time, it's a win. You isolate the variable. Do this for at least 3 days, then move on to the next problem. Maybe now it's ball chasing, or decision making on 50s, or recovering after aerials. This is the key difference between players who improve and players who don't. Really good players train habits. Hard stuck players chase results. Step 2, review your games like they're someone else's. You've heard this before, but let me give you a really practical way to do it. After every session, watch just one replay, not 5, just one. Mute the audio, no music, no Discord. and ask one question. If I didn't know this was me, would I trust this player? And you'll be shocked at how many things you do that you never noticed while playing, like panic flips, or maybe useless aerials, or rotations that block your own teammate. Watching your replays from a third-person view helps remove ego from the equation. And once you can see yourself as a player and not yourself, you can finally start improving without taking it personally. And step 3, build your system around patterns and not clips. Most players train for moments. Grand champs are up, train for patterns. You know, you hit a flip reset and think, I'm cracked. But then you lose because your back post was wide open again. And you have to stop celebrating highlight moments and start respecting repeating ones, because Rocket League isn't about, one cool thing you did. It's about the 20 subtle decisions you made that no one noticed, but kept you in the game. And that's what gets you to Grand Champ, not being mechanical, not getting better teammates, just making fewer losing plays every match. If you're serious about, getting to Grand Champ and you're tired of guessing what to fix next, that's exactly what my coaching program is for. I built it from the ground up to solve this specific problem. And we don't do vague advice, or one-off coaching sessions. We work with actual pro level players who know what it takes to hit SSL, and they'll break down your gameplay, identify your biggest leaks, and help you create a system to finally get results. No gimmicks, no fluff, just what actually works. And the best part, you don't need to grind 8 hours a day. You just need a roadmap and someone who knows how to guide you through it. If that sounds like what you need, check out the link in the description to head to our website. There's already loads of free resources there, and if you're ready to take it further, you can apply for our coaching, but we're here to help players regardless and help you finally break through that wall. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.